Hi, beautiful people. It's Sam and I on episode 130 of the Chasing Points podcast. Can't speak, apparently. Don't mind me. I'm getting back to talking since I had a lovely procedure. But it's just Sam and myself today. No Harrison, who didn't put in his picks. I'm going to give him shit throughout all of this, even though he told Sam and I that he both was going to give us his picks. So we don't know his picks, but I'm sure he will. We'll get it updated for you guys and let you know what's going on. But we're here again to give you some more insight on sports. Sam, how are you? It's been a week since we've essentially 2 weeks, right? Since we've been on here. Yeah.
Actually, I wasn't on
for you
2
for
weeks ago,
sure,
so
it's
it's
been
been
2 weeks.
3.
Yeah.
So we'll see, man. I'm doing well. How are you?
Recovering, but I'm good.
Oh,
Just
Okay.
been a lot of sports that have been going on since we haven't been here. UConn won. You won the league.
Yeah, that was fun.
You did. It was very, very interesting to see the names floating around. I think it was. I don't know if it ended up panning out just being you first place and Farkas second place.
I don't recall. Well, I'll pull it up.
I know he was around there. You don't need to pull it up. I know he was around there for quite some time, but throughout most of the tournament, it was you, Amy, my lady Ray, Farkas, and myself were the ones that were all flirting with the top. There was a couple people that went in and out as things got busted and whatnot, but Sam is overall the champ for this with all of our broken brackets. Even though we had the same, Sam and I definitely had the same people winning. His point differential won it out for him. So congrats to you, sir, since you are back.
Thank you, sir.
We got a lot of basketball to talk about. Some very interesting things going to happen. As we're recording today, for those that are watching live, tonight we have Caitlin Clark going to be the number one pick, which we'll get into later. My guy, Smitty, signed an extension today. Devontae Smith, 3-year extension, 75 mil, 51 mil is guaranteed. Howie Tremaine Roseman did his damn thing this whole offseason again. The Jets have made another jersey change for the 50 millionth time and still can't win. Sorry, Sam, that wasn't a stray at you. It was just at your team.
It's fine.
And there's a lot of NBA basketball, so let's get into that. So we now know who's in the play-in. We watched how the season ended. The Knicks somehow, some way, were able to get the 2 seed. It's the first time since 2000 that they were up all the way up to that point. So kudos to you since you're a Knicks fan. I got to watch my team not do anything and watch the 2 players that what I thought was going to bring my team a championship still be in the playoffs. It's fun, Sam. It's great. Thunder were tied with the Nuggets and the Timberwolves, a 3-way tie in the West, which is absolutely nuts. But it's panned out after the Nuggets won. They're the 2 seed, Thunder's 1 seed, Timberwolves 3 seed. It's so interesting to see what's going on in the West right now at this point in time. I'm in love with it. I'm absolutely in love with watching the maturation of Ant Edwards, because the Ant-Man is absolutely my favorite player, young player in the league, because right now my favorite player in the league is still Dame Lillard, but my favorite young player is Ant Edwards, and he's just growing in front of our eyes. No Diddy. It's just great. It's just great to see what's going on there. But let's just talk about the play-in, Sam. The play-in tournament starts on Tuesday. Okay. We have the Lakers, which is the 8 seed, at the Pelicans, 7:30 p.m. Eastern time on TNT. We have the Warriors which is Warriors 10 seed at the Kings, 9 seed, 9:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So, AKA past my bedtime, I will probably be sleeping and have to DVR and watch it the next day. All right, so we'll just start there with Tuesday. Number one, we both have the Lakers winning. But on the Warriors Kings, you have the Warriors winning, and I have the Kings. All right, so let's talk about the Lakers and the Warriors just in general. We have these two franchises that are now storied franchises, and the Warriors are definitely a storied franchise because of particular Steph Curry and trio, I should say. And the Lakers obviously were Bron and AD, but seeing them at the bottom of the bottom, trying to play in to continue next day. Why did you choose the Lakers to beat the Pelicans?
I guess you could be a little worried about this. They throttled them yesterday, right? Sunday, the last game of the season. They won all 3 of the regular season and the time they played in the play, and they embarrassed them too, 133-89.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not entirely sure AD is healthy. That's a usual sentence.
When is he? Yeah.
So that there's that. It just seemed like, I didn't get to see a lot of this game, but it just seemed like, the Lakers just knew what was had it handed to them early. Like this game got away from the Pelicans by like the second or third quarter. Not looking at a box score from what I can remember. But
so is that what led you to choosing?
What's that?
So is that what led you to choosing the Lakers over the
Yeah,
Pelicans in this?
I just think in a one game kind of you must win. I'm gonna go with LeBron and this team. Just overall, I like what the Pelicans have done. I've been a fan of theirs and the nucleus of this team, but just based off of recent history with them, I could totally see you make the conversation of, well, it gets harder and harder to win when you against the same team, especially you played them 2 nights ago. But I'll take the Lakers in this case.
I'll take the Lakers just because of LeBron, and just knowing he's not trying to lose. I've watched and heard a bunch of things today, and today specifically because of what happened with the game and the seeding, that people think that the Lakers should lose this first game and have the opportunity to play in the next game so they don't play the Nuggets in the first round. So by winning this first game, they immediately are seeded to play against the Nuggets. If they don't, then they have a better opportunity in playing the Thunder, OKC Thunder. I think that's a bad decision either way. So I really just feel it's a bad decision because if you lose the game, who's to say you're going to win the next game, right? Because if the Warriors, like I have the Warriors losing, against the Kings, which we'll get into in a second. If the Lakers lose and then the Warriors lose, it's the Lakers and Warriors playing each other, and Steph's not trying to go home. Obviously, Bron's not trying to go home. For fans, obviously, that would be great to see that whole dynamic go against one another. But I don't think you take your chances. If you can win and get in, you win and get in, and then you play the series. Yes, is it going to be hard against the Nuggets? Absolutely. Would it potentially be easier than would it potentially be easier to play OKC? I don't think so because you have an MVP candidate if he's not going to be the MVP, in SGA, and this young core has been at the top of the division the whole year.
All year, yeah.
So I don't think that's people that are suggesting that. I don't think that's really the best thing. I understand they're young. I understand it's LeBron. I understand it's AD. They've won a championship, so on and so forth. I get that aspect of it, but that was then. During the pandemic, this is now, and they have not won since. So
this is radio talk show fodder. Like, I understand. I understand the concept. I understand why it would make sense on paper there, but you're not telling. And I'm all for if you're like in the NFL, you need to lose the last game of the season to get the first pick overall or something like that.
Do it.
I'm all like that's different. You're not you could consider these teams playoff teams. I think I know LeBron hates the play-in, but since its inception, it seems like 3 out of the 4 years the Lakers are right where they are now. You're not telling an NBA locker room to lose a playoff game
No,
or a fringe playoff game, and you're
you're
certainly
definitely not
not.
telling LeBron.
LeBron is not going to. You
Yeah,
can't sit there and have a conversation with one of the most competitive athletes and just most dominant athletes of ever
yeah.
that you got to lose this game. I don't think I think the right thing to say and feel is I'm not afraid of anybody. Certainly it's the
Yeah.
NBA playoffs. You're playing these teams for like 2 weeks at a time. Anything can happen. You don't want to go up against the Nuggets. And recent history with these two teams would r- reinforce that. But no,
I think
that's
that's
all
all the
BS.
more reason
Yeah,
why LeBron and them would want to win, and so they can
yeah.
shut everybody up and be like, okay, so we beat them now. What are you gonna say, right? Because if they beat the Nuggets somehow, some way, what is anybody gonna say at that point in time? Because then at that point in time, then the Lakers become a favorite if they beat the Nuggets. Do I believe they're gonna beat the Nuggets? Absolutely not.
Yeah.
But there's all you need to do is you need to get in the tournament. Just like we say with football, you just need to get into the playoffs, right? You just need to get in there and everything can shape itself out because you never know. Somebody can go down, somebody can get really, really hot. There's so many things that could absolutely happen.
I mean, look at the
Speak,
Heat last year, man.
yeah.
What were they, a 7, 8 seed, something like
Mm-hmm.
that, and they took down the Celtics all the way to the finals. Like any, anything can happen here, of course, but yeah, you're not telling a locker room of grown men to lose a playoff game, so
No,
they could have go up against the more recent dynasty that this league has seen. You're not doing it, even
yeah.
if it's a 34-year-old Steph Curry and a
I wouldn't even
Clay.
call.
Yeah,
I wouldn't even call them. You're
yeah.
talking about the Warriors being the
Well, the
dynasty. What
most
you're saying?
recent dynasty that
Okay.
we've had.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
they're
Fair.
they're clearly
Fair.
they've played well the last half of the season or
Yeah. No,
whatever, the last third. But yeah, you're not
I
doing
just
that.
wanted clarity. That's all. Speaking
Yeah.
of Warriors, so you have the Warriors, I have the Kings. And the reason why I have the Kings is because Sabonis and De'Aaron Fox. And that young youth of a team, I think they have an opportunity to prove that, hey, yeah, we know who we are. We know what it is. And I know they have like a little minor beef that they've had just in recent years, the Kings and Warriors. Not anything big or anything like that. Obviously, Draymond's involved in it, but I feel that the Kings are going to come out firing, and I think these young boys show because at one point in time, I mean, they were a top team last year, and they not so much this team with the moving of the OKC and Timberwolves, and then just obviously the Mavs also doing better this year, and so on and so forth. So I still think the Kings have a lot in left in the tank. So that's the reason why I'm going against them
It's
against the Warriors. I just really really watching the Warriors. It's just so stale to me. It feels so stale, so old. Um, Obviously Steph is still Steph, but with Clay being too hit or miss and Draymond being Draymond,
Draymond's the wild card, and we've seen it all
it's always a
year.
wild
We've
card.
seen, clearly, but now it's a very, you're he's playing on thin ice more than ever. I feel like, especially, and how in these big moments and everything is amplified here. The Warriors finished the season 26-12. Their last 10, they're 8-2. I I'm not going to count this core, even though they're not. It's clearly like don't mix up my words here. This is not 10 years ago. This is I get it. I get the
Mhm.
full where this team is now in comparison to even when they won a title a couple years ago. But still, I think that they can reach into their bag of tricks, and Steph is capable still
Of
of
course.
dropping 50 on the Kings again and sending them home. And again, one game playoff. I'm not going to be surprised if the Kings pull it out. They're a fun team to watch. Is Herter and Malik Monk going to play? I'm not
I'm
entirely
not quite
sure there.
sure.
I know they're hurt, but still, I get it. I'm gonna go 1-game playoff. These two teams, the Lakers and the Warriors, are these cores are battle tested in that regard. Like there are veterans and some of the best to ever do it on on these rosters. So I'll just take it for what it is and just go down with the ship in that regard. But
That's fair.
you're,
It's not a bad ship to go down with.
yeah,
Wednesday, we have the 8 seed Heat at the Sixers, 7 p.m. on ESPN. And then we followed up by the 10 seed Hawks against the 9 seed Bulls at 9:30 p.m. Eastern on ESPN. Sam and I both have the Sixers, but we differ here. He has the Bulls. I have the Hawks. I think it's very, very clear, and I don't want to spend too much time on the Sixers. But it all depends on Joel Embiid.
yep, totally.
That's really to me, it's Joel Embiid, because I know Maxey is finally the guy that Joel doesn't have to worry about anything, whereas he had to worry about like which version of James Harden is going to show up and whatnot. And then prior to that, when they had Jimmy Butler, he didn't have to worry about anything. But obviously, they chose Tobias Harris over Jimmy
Never
Butler,
understand.
which is still absolutely
Never
insane.
understand it.
But yeah, it all stands with Joel at the end of the day. But for the Hawks, Bulls, I'm gonna watch, but I could really, really care less about this matchup. The Hawks and the Bulls they're in damn near basketball purgatory for me. Uh, it's so crazy to think about not hearing about Trae Young, and we heard so much, and I think I know he's an absolute excellent shooter, and you got DeJounte Murray there too as well, which is why I chose them to win. Just barely like inching the Bulls out. But I mean, I really don't want to watch this game. I really might not watch it. It's just not going to be a great game for me to watch. Period.
Yeah, I don't want to count the Heat out on the other game on the other series we just talked about. Clearly, there's a lot of reasons why I think either team could win, but when Maxey and Embiid are together, they're 30-7. I saw, which is kind of crazy, and they've won their last 8 games. But Trey's I have not been following what the Hawks are up to. Like Trey's back, like from his finger, like broken finger,
I
dislocated
guess.
finger.
I guess.
They've lost their last 6. They're 3-7. Their last 10, and
Mhm.
not like the Bulls have been any better. They're 500 over their last 10, but I like you. I flip a coin here. I know Trey can step up a bit in some of these bigger moments, or he has, or maybe that's just when he's playing the Knicks. But
Yeah.
I have no conviction here. Just like you, man. I flip a coin. This will be a tough game to watch, but somebody's got to win, right?
They do. They do.
Yeah.
And somebody's got to watch, and I guess I'll be one of those somebodies that has to watch. But Friday, it's the 8th seed. It's for the East, it's the winner of the Hawks Bulls, and at the 76ers Heat loser. Both Sam and I have the Heat on that one. And then for the West, it's the Warriors Kings winner at the Lakers Pelicans loser. You have the Pelicans. I have the Warriors. Um, about this Heat team. This Heat team this year. It doesn't like I know what last year's team did, and it was just like, oh, the Heat are here, and I had no faith in them. But this year, I really have no faith
It's a different team.
whatsoever.
It's a different team.
It's a completely different team. I know it's still the Heat mentality, and they're still going to do what they do. But I don't know. I just feel like Jimmy's been kind of flat all year. I feel like Bam's been flat. Even though they're out there getting buckets, they're doing what they got to do. But I just feel like just in general, I don't know. But I think the Heat will be fine, and I think they'll win this. I think somehow, some way, just based off of like you said with the history with the Warriors, I think the Heat will get into the playoffs with that for sure. You were going to say something about the Heat?
No, we're talking about here 8, 9, 10 seeds.
Yeah.
It's okay to like not have, I guess, conviction here. It's not the same Bulls team or Heat team. The depth is not there. We're not seeing the players, the off the bench we have in these, kind of miracle runs over the last couple of years. That said,
Yeah.
Spo is Spo, and he will, he's one of the best to coach for a reason. But that's why I think they probably won't have too much to worry about with either the Chicago or Atlanta here. But yeah, I do not have the same kind of I'm not putting the same kind of respect on the name and the brand as last year. Last year, you could kind of see something was going on there.
Well, you have the Pelicans for the West, and I have the Warriors. I think it's pretty self-explanatory of why we chose both of our things. But why do you have the Pelicans? Just so we can just touch base on that.
Yeah, I don't have much conviction here. I don't want to sound like a broken record. I just think I just like this team. I think they can, they played better throughout the year, so I just think they'll win. But again, I'm not trying to hedge here, but I won't put money down or anything on this. I don't have. You can convince me otherwise, but I just think the Pelicans are better team.
No, there's no convincing. It just is. It's a kind of just like a toss up. Like I don't have faith, but I'm hoping. All I'm asking for is for these games to be good. Like I really could care less who's in from these playing games. I just want to see the real playoffs start, which starts on Saturday, and it starts. We don't know the actual times yet, right? So it's the 2 seed Knicks versus the 7 seed. So whoever the winner is of the Heat Sixers game. Then you have the Cavs 4 seed versus the Magic. There's some little girl just sprinting past my door. She is literally going to be in the Olympics like tomorrow. 3 seed Timberwolves versus the Suns, and the 2 seed Nuggets versus the Lakers Pelicans winner. And then on Sunday is the 1 seed Celtics versus the 8 seed play-in winner. The 3 seed Bucks versus the Pacers, 6 seed Pacers. 1 seed Thunder versus the 8 seed play-in, and then the 4 seed Clippers versus the Mavericks. Now, I will flat out tell you the series that I am so intrigued by. One is that Timberwolves Suns series. 2, which I believe it'll be the Sixers, is the Knicks Sixers. Because depending again on what Joel we get, seeing how that plays out, I think even if you're not a Knicks fan, which I'm not, just to see the order that's going to be inside and outside of the Garden is going to get the playoffs where it should go again. Because you remember when they last were in the playoffs playing against the Hawks and losing, how intense that was outside, inside, how it had the city and our state buzzing. So you have that. My other series that the other 2 series I'm very interested in seeing are the Bucks Pacers, because the way the Bucks have been playing, I don't know what's going on there. And then the Clippers Mavs, because the Mavs are the 5 seed, but the way they've been playing like they're the damn 1 seed.
Yeah.
So I think that Clippers Mavs series is going to be my favorite series.
That's going to be a great one
from the first round, like period, because I think that might go the distance for that series. Any of these jump out to you like that you're very, very intrigued? Sound like that was one of them for sure.
Oh no, yeah, totally. Looking at it, Clippers, Mavs there. I know the Mavs rested basically everybody near the end there, and it seemed like no one wanted to be the 2nd seed in the East. I've read that everywhere. And look, Joel Embiid in the first round of the playoffs, and what him and Maxey, we just talked about what they're capable of doing. Sure, but this is it's April, May, June basketball. We're not. we can't be doing. I don't want to face these guys. I want to face these guys.
I mean, they can.
But you can, sure, and I understand it, but you
It's
just got to
smart. You don't
play.
want
You just got.
nobody wants to run into, but no, it's strategic. Nobody wants to run into the Celtics before they have to run into the Celtics. And if you go this route, which you can manipulate the seeding depending on how you play, it'll allow you to meet that team in the championship instead of cutting your season short because nobody, and I mean nobody, wants to play the Celtics right now.
Oh
The
yeah,
the 8th seed has no choice regardless. They have to play the Celtics. But you're
I
going to see how quick they're going to dispose of the 8th seed.
yeah. This team, just the Celtics team, just looking at some of the numbers and like it's all time like for one of these Celtics teams, like putting their stats up against the franchise as a whole in the
Yeah.
whatever history it is, and clearly some of the best teams in basketball history were Celtics teams, and that's and some of the best talent, and that it's crazy. So this is a big it's a big this is the season, this is the playoff run for these Celtics. I think they know that. I think they've you know they've played exceptional all year. I mean, their records, I don't even know what the record is, but it's insane. Um, the Bucks, I would be worried about the Bucks, and we've talked a lot about, especially since Doc took over, and they've been middling ever since. And I know, we've changed our I've changed my mind on them so many times, and it's just based on the play there. But whatever's going on with Giannis, and was it's a calf strain, or it wasn't his Achilles, and who knows how, if he comes back the series at all. I think they'd probably be in trouble even if he was playing. And I still think, obviously when healthy, he is one of the most dominant players out there. And,
Probably
I
safe to say he is the most dominant player in
yeah,
the
just,
NBA when he's healthy.
yeah, that's fair. And, we've seen these kind of lower leg injuries and what they've done to players, and he's going to want to play. It's the playoffs. But you got to be holding your breath if you're a Bucks fan or in that front office or whatever, because it's a really it's a tricky situation here.
I will say that if the Bucks lose in the first round, this will be one of the most embarrassing losses in NBA history. And I don't mean because of the seeding. I mean because of the storyline. You fire your coach at the beginning of the season because Giannis doesn't want him there, because Giannis didn't like the way there's a bunch of rumors. We don't know. We just heard a bunch of rumors. But the only thing that I do know that has been confirmed is that it was basically Giannis didn't want him there. So you get rid of this coach, you bring in Doc Rivers, and the team does not improve, really. So if they lose, this will be the biggest. This would be another conversation, Sam, to add into the bucket of the player empowerment era of changing and wanting what I want to do certain things when you have certain things going. You can put that right next to Katie and Kyrie saying they don't need a coach. You can put, I want this coach. I don't want this coach here that's having us win because I don't agree with this, even though their defense was terrible with that coach, which could be improved for sure. So I think that would be a huge loss. But to your point, you made a very, very valid point. I want to expound on it just very briefly. Giannis there or not, this matchup is going to be tough for them, regardless just how the Pacers play.
Yeah.
And they match up very, very well. And the fact, nobody is going to match up with Giannis one-on-one. Nobody's going to match up with Dame one-on-one. But the Bucks defense, as I just mentioned, is Swiss cheese. And that's not good against the Pacers, who can score at a premium. So that's going to be intriguing.
It's
for sure.
Yeah, it's and if you've listened to this podcast, you know how much we love Dame Lillard, but getting rid of, like, how valuable would Drew Holiday be in this series?
Well, Celtics showed how valuable he was because they just paid him.
Yeah, and with everything that's great about Dame, and he's one of the most clutch. He puts it on when you need to. No doubt, some huge shots in his career, and
For sure.
just a dynamic scorer and facilitator. But he does not play defense, and this team,
Well,
it was the question going into the year is, can they stop you? Can they keep up? And yeah, it
well,
would be nice
well,
to have
Dame.
someone like Holiday on Tyrese, but
Well, Dame reminds me of Steph, not only with like the shooting, but they both don't play defense. It's like there's very few guards that are scoring guards that play defense really really well. Um, Kyrie's actually one of them. He plays really 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 good defense, but there's a lot of guards, and those two being the top two that are really really good offensively, but are shit on the defensive end. But yeah, that we talked about it, and that's also another reason why I'm intrigued by the Timberwolves and Suns matchup, because Suns gutted out their whole bench to get KD and to get Bradley Beal, and now you're re-signing Mister I can't stand him, Grayson Allen. You're re-signing him for a long time because he plays defense, and he's basically the white version of Draymond Green, which is a whole nother topic, which I would love to have a segment on that. Let's shelf that for another day. But yeah, they're another prime example of they got rid of a lot of good defensive pieces. They only have their offensive pieces, and they're now going against the Timberwolves, who have been good all year long. And I'm just really curious of who's going to be the one that's going to try to stop Ant Edwards. Like I'm curious of that, and I know people will say on the flip side of, well, who's going to stop KD? Who's going to stop Devin Booker? Who's going to stop Beal? Right? I still feel the cohesion is not fully there, and I'm very just curious to see how that's going to be, because if they catch fire and they're building upon some of the chemistry that they have already. They catch fire during the playoffs, Sam. It could be very very scary
oh
for
no,
a lot
yeah,
of
no
teams,
doubt.
very very easily too. So I just don't know if they have enough firepower coming off of the bench in
Yeah,
that situation.
you just said it, but that was the concern with this team is just there's no depth there, and that's we've talked about it every spring. We talk about how important these rotations are um, going into playoff series, especially as you get deeper and deeper, and you're playing the same team for 10 days.
Yeah,
And I mean, this is a matchup we just saw yesterday, and the Timberwolves needed to win that game, and they didn't, and they lost by like 20 points.
yeah,
Um, so again, the three-way tie for first place, but they're the 3 seed. Yeah, if everything works, yeah, I wouldn't want to play this team either, the Suns, but it doesn't always go that way.
no,
And Towns is healthy, and we've talked about the progression and the growth that we've seen from Anthony Edwards, and they've been playing. Weren't they the number one seed in the West for the majority of the year, or right there? So I mean,
yeah.
they've played in some big games and carried this conference for a while. So sure, anything could happen, but
I mean, technically, they are a number one seed. They're technically 3 1 seeds in the
yeah,
West. It's just had to be tiebreakers and whatnot.
tiebreakers,
So
how that all happened.
yeah,
Yeah.
so that it just changed it up from there. But this will be very very intriguing. We will definitely be talking about it more when we come back. But we have other things to talk about. So the Masters happened, and this is a Do You Care segment, um, which is very interesting. Sam put this here because I'm intrigued by how I'm going to answer this. So just
Okay. So my thought with putting together "Do You Care" was we had a lot of different things to talk about, and I just wanted to kind of, instead of just going sport by sport here, let's just talk about them. Clearly, we care. It's a great weekend in sports, but yeah.
yeah, I mean, I don't. Scotty Scheffler, excuse me, wins his second Masters tournament by 4 strokes. Do I care? No, because I don't watch golf, so I don't really care. But I do care, understanding how difficult it is to win this tournament and how prestigious it is to get that green jacket. So I do care as a fan of sports and understanding the history of sports and understanding one of the greatest golfers who was also there that has won multiple or whatnot. So I know he's just like that. From what I'm hearing, he's just that quiet guy that doesn't do too much talking. He just goes out there and plays and just whips ass type thing. So I commend that. I absolutely love that. So yeah, don't care in the grand scheme of things because I don't watch golf. That'd be a sport that I much rather play, and but I do care just out of respect for the history and somebody accomplishing something that is hard to do and doing it twice.
Yeah, it's I mean it's a hard thing to do. It's a second green jacket in 3 years. He won in 2022. He won by 4 strokes this year, 3 the last time, and this was only his 5th Masters. So it's the not only is the 4th youngest to win the Masters twice at 27, he did it the quickest. Meaning he had 5 Masters and he won 2 like right away. So quickest to get to there. So yeah, he's there's a lot to be said about just the professional golfers out there, and I know if we were to merge just the PGA and Live and everybody there, clearly, I mean, Scotty's been on the top for a couple of years now. I mean, you've had Dustin Johnson and Koepka and Rahm and Bryson and whatnot, all in that conversation. But it just seems the last few years, it's Scotty's been kind of cemented at that number one player in the world, and he played great. And it's just it's a cool experience, cool ambiance to watch the Masters, and it's produced beautifully, and it's just a fun thing to watch. But it wasn't really any kind of concern all weekend, right? Like, I think he had a pretty dominant lead, but yeah, it's something it's a hell of an accomplishment for sure. And his wife is 9 months pregnant. She's due at the end of April, and it was basically her first tournament in years and years that she wasn't with him. And he said it's their first kid, and not that it matters if it's their 10th kid, but he's like, I'm leaving. Like, if she goes into labor, like, at whatever point. So that was the whole like gossipy like drama thing. But he won. She's still pregnant. He's $3.5 million richer and has another green jacket, so that's nice too. But yeah, no, it's a fun weekend. I love the Masters.
Okay. UFC 300. I'm not going to ask you if you watch it because I know you didn't.
I did.
No, you didn't.
I did.
You watched UFC.
Yes, I did.
You watched all of it.
I watched from was it the Holloway Justin Gaethje fight, and then it was the women's, right?
Yep.
And then there were 2 more. Yeah, I watched from there. I watched from the Holloway fight. I have receipts.
I'm very, very, very impressed.
Are you impressed?
I'm impressed. Well, actually, no, I'm not impressed because this is like pulling teeth. See what I did there? Would get you watch UFC. So this was one of the best cards that I've ever seen in my life of watching UFC. And what I mean by it is the fights were so good. I'm even talking about going to prelims, which I didn't. It started at like 6:00, and it went all the way till 1.
Yeah, it was late.
10 in the morning, something like that. I didn't get home until 2:20 because I was all the way in New Windsor. You guys that don't know, but it was just know it's a far ride that I had to go. But what pissed me off about this fight, or one of the fights, was the Charles do Bronx Oliveira against Armin. Oliveira won that fight. And I know so many people were saying because Armin only basically the second round is what he won, but he did not win any of the other 2 rounds, which is wild to me. The only thing that everybody's talking about, which is kind of It's great, but it also overshadows the other fights. Is the Justin Gaethje fight against Max Holloway, which was for the BMF title. I'll let you figure out what that means if you don't know what it is. And Max Holloway hit this roundhouse kick at the end of, I think it was the second round. No, it was the
It was the end of the first.
end of the first, yes. But he
Yeah.
caught him with that roundhouse kick that immediately broke Gaethje's nose. And Gaethje came back out as he would. I mean, this guy is literally the guy who said, yeah, I don't make any plans after the fight because I go in there and plan on, I don't know if I'm coming out or not. Like, that's his mindset. It's like, if I die in the ring, I die in the ring. Excuse me, octagon. So just seeing him coming out. Now, did you know, Sam, that about the whole? I mean, I know about it. I'm just asking you. Did you know about the whole blowing your nose type situation? What it does to you?
No, I'm not
So if you
following.
break your nose,
I know he had. I just know this from what Rogan and DC and everybody was saying on the telecast. But
yes. So if you
and
break your
I
nose, you're not
yep.
supposed to blow your nose because it
Yeah. So
swells up your eyes, all that shit. It's not what's supposed to happen. But
for
it's
like
hard.
it
It's
forever
hard to tell
kind of thing.
somebody not to
For
do that when you've got blood trickling down your nose and you can't breathe. Right? You're trying to breathe as you're fighting another man that is literally swinging to knock your head off.
so it's funny because I have had a deviated septum, and like a month ago is why I wasn't here. I had surgery to fix it, and I still
Yep.
can't blow my nose, and
Mm-hmm.
it hurts to blow. The procedure and all that, I'm fine. It didn't
Mm-hmm.
hurt. I can't blow my nose though; it hurts. So when that happened, and he had like all this nose problems to begin with, and he's breathing out of his mouth. I'm just sitting there for a day. I basically had to breathe out of my mouth exclusively because my nose was bandaged up just for a day, and it was insufferable. So like I could not and I'm just laying in bed, laying on the couch, not doing anything, man.
Yep.
And it's just and I wasn't in pain or anything. It's just could not can't breathe through my nose because
Yep.
there's bandages all up my nose. So like the fact that he went 4 rounds, 4 more rounds, literally till the end, breathing out of his mouth and fighting and taking the hits that he what like. And I was saying it to my friend I was chatting about while we were watching. Like, this dude is. I mean, they both are, but this dude is a badass.
No,
Like,
there's
crazy.
a reason why they were fighting for the BMF title. It's
Yeah,
because
that
these
was
two
nuts.
are two of the scrappier fighters in the UFC, and they 100% uh, will be fighting nonstop. Um, I, I want to get to breaking news that we got, and it just popped up on my screen in a second too. But yeah, I mean, the best part of that whole fight was obviously what happened at the end. Max Holloway called him into the middle of the ring so they can square up. It's not the first time he's done it. I know a lot of people saw it and was like, "Oh my god, like he's crazy for doing this." Not the first time he's done it. Won't be the last time. But they squared off in the middle of the octagon, swinging bows, and Max caught him and slept him. And I really mean slept him. It was scary at first seeing it because I'm thinking to myself, this is a guy that had a deviated septum. He just got his nose broken. He can't breathe. And now he got knocked out and he fell flat on his face. Also, the
Yeah,
punch hit him in his face, in his jaw, and his nose. And he fell flat on his face. I was like, yeah, I know he's a badass and I know he's going to get up. But I was like, it was just scary for a second. Whaley, she did her thing. She absolutely dominated. She's just an absolute monster. But Jan, she's so good herself too. It's just Whaley is just an absolute beast. And then Alex Pereira, Pereira, excuse me, absolutely destroyed Jamal Hill, and that is so disappointing because Jamal Hill is so good and he looked so bad because he got caught with that swift Muay Thai uppercut and it slept him very, very quickly, dropped him on the ground, and it was over. You could tell he had no idea where he was. He was ready to get back into the fight, and that was it. Very, 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 very satisfying watching that. There were so many other fights in the prelims and whatnot. Bo Nickel continues his streak. You got Holly, she fought, so on and so forth. So, do I care about this? Yes, I do. Do you care about the same?
Yeah, no, it was fun. I know, and just friends sharing from what I read, like leading up to it. Again, I'm not the UFC fan in the sense of like I know the the history and all of that. Well, I know a lot of the names. I watch it. It's entertaining. I like to watch it. I wish I knew more. But 11 current or former
You would if you
champions.
watched more.
Well, dude. I watched a
I,
good part of it.
I said you would if you watched more. You said you
Yeah,
wish you knew, and I'm saying
right.
if you watched more
Just
UFCs, you
sure.
would know more.
There's a lot of things I wish I knew more about in the sports world, right? I wish I watched
Sure.
F1 more than I do. I wish I got into soccer like you've been trying to drag me through, and it's a bandwidth thing, man.
It's receipts, people. You see the
Yeah.
receipts that I'm keeping. He's aware.
I'm
Football,
not
try to
hiding
get
from
him.
anything.
That's
I'm
it.
not hiding anything.
It's crazy. It's crazy.
It was fun. I enjoy the sport. I know it was a big moment in the history of the sport, and it was fun. It was fun to watch. So yeah, I enjoyed it.
Big moment for us. Breaking news that just came through. John Sterling, the voice of the Yankees, is retiring effective immediately
Yeah.
due to health concerns. That is a piece of our childhood gone. Obviously, we wish him the best in all the health that and whatever he's going through at this point in time. Obviously he's older, but we wish him nothing but the best and hope that he comes out on the other side of this and is able to, live out his final years on this earth doing whatever he is in good health. But man, just not hearing his calls, Sam, is going to be very, very weird.
Yeah, he's been the voice of the Yankees for 35 years. There was a run where up until a couple years ago that he didn't miss a game like ever. And I think I know he was with the Braves before that, like in the 80s, and he's been in baseball for like 6 decades, something like
Mm-hmm.
that. And it's interesting. I read a story opening day, the Athletic, I don't know, it was Brendan Cuddy, someone at the Athletic and like followed him for the morning, like getting ready and doing the whole thing, and he
Mm-hmm.
was basically like non-committal to knowing when this was it. Clearly has had his fair share of health issues over the last couple of years, but effective immediately, which is awful to hear in the sense of I hope everything all right there. But yeah, just a legend. The Yankees win, the ridiculous nicknames for everybody.
Yes.
It's
Yeah.
it's like nothing but love and respect. Saying it's like it's almost like a caricature, and it's just something you like. It's corny, but it just is what it is, and it's so lovable for it. And I know he's been with Susan Waldman in the booth there for a while, and then previously
Mm-hmm.
Michael Kay. But yeah, just a part of Yankee lore
Lord.
and
Yep.
history, and um, just growing up and being just a fan and a nerd of radio. And going back to listening to Michael and John on the radio, or Mike and the Mad Dog and stuff like that. Like that's important. So he definitely made the game better, and that's a real bummer to hear. But I hope uh, prayers to him and his family, and hope
Yes.
everything is okay. But Justin Shackle looks like will replace him, who's um, on part of the Yes Network, and I know he does stuff for WFAN too. So that's a huge spot there. But yeah,
Well, prayers up for John for sure.
yeah, it's a bummer.
We appreciate you and thank you for all the years. That's for sure. WNBA. It is draft night. Starts at 7:30 p.m. for those that are listening on the live stream. For those that are not, sorry, you'll know what happens after. The Indiana Fever, number one pick. I pretty sure. It's just an absolute guarantee. This is one that we don't have to worry about Caleb Williams and who's going to go first for the NFL draft and who's trading up. We all know who's going number one. It is Caitlin Clark for sure going number one. I'm interested to see who goes number two because I definitely could see it being Angel Reese going number two. But I could also see her going number three as well. It'll be very, very intriguing to see who goes. I'm going to be watching for sure tonight. So I do care about this because it'll be one step closer to see Caitlin Clark get beat up in the WNBA by the vets like Diana Taurasi to be like, your welcome moment to the league. But I want to see what she does after that. That's when I'll see who she is in the WNBA. And obviously it's going to take some time to grow. But I'm very curious to see how she's going to play when she goes. And I believe her first game, if I remember correctly, is against the Liberty in Brooklyn. So last I checked was tickets are like $80, the lowest that I saw. So might be going to that game.
Yeah, I mean, Indiana Fever now back-to-back number one picks and two kind of just, I mean, standout stars from the college game. I mean, Aaliyah Boston won Rookie of the Year. She was, she did a great job on TV with the Final Four in the championship game at the as an analyst there. That was fun to watch there too. But that's a scary duo in a league now that is going to get another influx of talent. I mean, you mentioned Angel Reese and then, Aaliyah Edwards and Cameron Brink, and there's just Cardoso from South Carolina. There's a lot of talent.
I actually think Brink is going to.
And again, I'm not going to pretend like I scout women's basketball and can make that transition know what it takes to make the transition WNBA. But everything I've seen was like she's going to, and we'll see really there. Good. Yeah, from Stanford, right? She went to Stanford. So yeah, we'll see where a ton of talent in this draft as per usual, and I know from the Indiana Fever just. They have 30 games on national television in some kind of capacity or something like that, and ticket sales are through the roof. And
of course,
and just I know you and Harrison talked about just leading up to our last show, leading up to the women's Final Four, and like how those numbers were just the ratings were through the roof. And we saw it the championship game too. Big moment for WNBA, and hopefully this continues. I know it's a sport that you and I try to watch a lot and feel passionate about the women's game too. So it's a big moment here. It'll be a lot of fun to see how this talent, especially how she transcends into the league. It's going to be different than Iowa, that's for sure.
And like I said, she's going to get her welcome moment, and I'm sure it's going to be against Diana Taurasi. If it's not against the Liberty when she plays them, she's going to get a welcome moment very, very quickly. But the great thing about her is she can shoot, and the most underrated part of her game is she is a playmaker. So she can see the floor very, very well, and those two things translate extremely well to any level. If you can shoot and you're able to pass and get your teammates open, that always bodes well for you. So I'm very curious to see what's going to happen. But it'll be intriguing for sure. So
yeah, she's not a catch and shoot. She's the greatest shooter in college basketball history, and I know the comparisons to Steph and all that. Like, she's not a catch and shoot player. She's a great passer. Yeah, but she set up her teammates really well in the games that I saw leading up to the championship game, and she's definitely a playmaker. It'd be fun to watch her in the league, and then pick and roll with somebody like Boston, and just
we're gonna see it very, very soon
on that team too. So that'll be fun to watch.
Definitely see that very, very soon. So moral of the story is both Sam and I do care, and hope you guys check that out. to see what's going to happen, and can't wait to see what's going on. I mean, there's a lot. It's one of the best times of the year. We get playoff hockey, we get playoff basketball, we have baseball, we got drafts. Yeah, it's just a good time of year. So I have nothing else, Sam, unless you do. And if you don't, please take us on out of here.
No, man, I'm good. Yeah, it's a wonderful time of the year, and our Yankees keep winning, and that's fun to watch too. Didn't get into any baseball this week, but I'm sure, it's a long season. We'll cover it. But
Good.
yeah,
You saved Gleyber Torres' ass this week, so thank you. You did. That's good that we didn't, because you saved Gleyber Torres' ass this week. So he's safe for me right now. Yep. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Didn't. Yep. Don't let your friends lie to you and tell you that they're going to give you their picks for their show, because they'll leave you up and set you down and make you look miserable. Thanks, Harrison. You suck. We should do it for him and post it and then say this. Next time we'll just have bots do his picks. All right, everybody. We'll see y'all later. Bye.